Hey gang, welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. Today's video is part 5 in the 56 Chevy Bel Air gasser project. Now you've probably seen the other videos. If you haven't, I suggest you go back and look at those as well. I'm putting in a front frame with a straight axle from Checkered Racing. So in the previous videos I have cut off the front frame rails. I've done a ton of measuring and I have the new frame rails in place and welded. So I'm very happy with how that looks right now. And now the next step in the process is I need to get the front axle underneath the car. I need to get the car on the ground, so I need to put the tires on the back and wheels and that sort of thing. And I'm going to be mocking up and test fitting the engine and transmission. So a lot involved with this process. Let me show you what I'm planning to do. So as I've shown in the previous videos, I do have everything welded in. I want to blend down some of these welds, just kind of smooth them out a little bit, make it look a little cleaner. I have this brace in here that was put in by Checkered Racing that has to come out. That brace that I put in for my measuring and keeping the frame in place, that has to come out. And then there's some other things that need to happen. I may go ahead and cut off those transmission mounts for the original frame, but what I need to do is figure out where I'm going to put the crossmember for the big block engine that's going in it. So combination of things, I need to assemble the big block to the transmission, get those hanging on the hoist, get this in place, trim down the ends, and also I need to have the front axle underneath the car. So that'll be in place. Now the difficulty with all of that is I want to make sure I have the car kind of where it's going to sit naturally. So I have to put weight on the car to get the front suspension to kind of preload down, and that's going to help me index the engine and transmission. I do have a transmission crossmember that is an aftermarket piece that will be bolted in, so that'll give me the back end of that location, but I need to figure out the front. So to do that, again, I need to put weight on it, the engine, transmission, get the suspension down, and then I can angle, and then hopefully I can figure out a good angle for the engine to sit at, and then set the crossmember actually in place and welded in. So a bunch of things to make happen, but I'm going to start with obviously getting the axle under the car and getting it back on the ground. So here's what the car looks like sitting on all 4 tires and wheels. You can see it's got a pretty good gap right now between the fender and the front tires. As I said earlier, I was going to cut out the cross braces, and I did. Smooth down the welds a little here and there. There may be a little touch-up that I want to do as I move forward, but for right now everything is smoothed up enough. And I still need to cut out the tranny pieces there, the cross member mounts that are there. But I want to show you what I'm going to be replacing that with, and that is this CP90044. And this is the kit. Tubular transmission cross member, and those are the instructions. 55 to 57 full-size car. In the kit you end up with 2 brackets, the cross member, 4 mount bolts, and I believe it's 6 supposed to be self-tapping bolts. Now, the only conflict I see with this, and I have assembled this the way they instructed. So if you look at it, you can see that this is facing to the front of the car. This is actually sitting on top of the frame, and then there's the top of the tube. So that's the same configuration. So this will sit on top of the frame. You're supposed to locate everything where you want it, mark the holes, drill them with, I forget what the size, it says 5/16. There it is. And you use the 3/8-16 thread forming bolts, bolt and mounting brackets to the frame. So in looking at this kit, if this sits on top of the frame, there's no way to access that bolt hole, and I'm not real happy about that. I can do these 2, which probably 4 is going to be enough. I may consider even welding the edges. I'm not completely decided on that yet. And other than that, it looks like a pretty good cross member. I did have it up in the car already, set it up on top so I could get an idea. And these are slotted, so you can adjust the length, and it's slotted in the main cross member and also the brackets. So at this point, and this is just how my mind works, I need to remove the fenders and the core support again, kind of get the car more angled over to this side so that I can use my hoist. And what I want to do is I'm trying to set up the engine position. So, you know, you look at these cars and you'll see a gasser where it's got the engine angled up real high, and you know, there could be all kinds of variations there because there is no number that I have that tells me where that cross member needs to go. So what I plan to do, hopefully, is mount the cross member to the big block, mount the engine and transmission together, get them here in the car, and put the weight on the car. From that point, what I need to figure is kind of how much this angle is going to change. Now, there's lots of variables on this. When you look at the pinion angle and the drive shaft angle and the transmission angle, from my understanding, you want to have about 3 degrees of downward angle on the transmission. So you can measure off the crank pulley with the little digital level device that I have, and it kind of gives you that percentage or that angle. So, but the end result is you want to have the same angle on both ends. So when I look at this, if I put the weight on the car, it's going to settle down a little. I can set the gauge on the front. I can go to the back of the car and get that number, and then look at the transmission and see what that number is. I may be overthinking this. This car is not going to be drag raced, and I know there's a lot of variables that come into real drag cars, but I kind of want to make sure I have everything with a load on it so I have an idea of what that actual angle is. Hope that makes sense. We have a problem. So I have the transmission bolted on, the bell housing. I have my load leveler, engine leveler, and I mounted the rigid motor mounts. Put a bolt through this side. Not going to happen. That's about half a hole off. Not good. Okay. So, I did a measurement. Basically, center to center, we'll call it 16.5. And I took a piece of bar, stuck in that mount, and really just this tapered piece of steel that I had left over from something else, but it'll suffice for what I need to do. If I take a measurement and I go to center of that bar, I'm basically at about 17 inches. So that cross member is not going to work. I thought about what it would take to unbend some of this, but it's not worth it. Because if I try to unbend it, I might get one side rather than both sides. They got to be equal. So I'm kind of dead in the water at the moment. Well, I'm going to stand still. I had planned to have, in this video, I wanted to have the engine in place, the transmission cross member in place, and be moving forward with the next phase, which would be putting the headers on, finding the location for the steering box, all that sort of thing. I'm dead in the water. I've already contacted Checkered Racing. I gave them some, they asked for the measurements. I told them what I have. They said there's two different ones. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just got confused or if there was some miscommunication or something, but I can't do any more. I can't modify that. Now, I mean, I could. Let's just put it this way. I could cut these ears off and relocate them, but it just doesn't feel good. Just doesn't feel good. So they told me they were going to contact me or find out and maybe get back with me on Monday, let me know if the other one would work, but I measured 16.5, it should be 17. Yeah. Sorry. I wanted to have more to show you, but I can't. So anyway, thanks for being here. I hope you found some entertainment in this video. I do appreciate you leaving a comment, thumbs up, all those sort of things, and of course subscribing, but that'll be it for this one. Until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.